Yo, guys, welcome back today again. And today we have two very special guests with us today. And they're going to talk about their ethnic group and their traditional customs. And they're very, very nice people. And they're actually two Afar people from different parts of the world. They grew up in different parts of the world. And let's just get right into it. Don't let me ramble. How about you guys introduce yourself right now?
Hi, I'm Hela. I live in Toronto.
Okay. We got Toronto natives, you know what I'm saying? Wagwan.
Wagwan.
Word. And then my brother, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Hassan. I grew up in the U.S. in Minnesota, South North Dakota, but I'm currently in Holland doing school.
Got you. And you're working on your master's degree, right?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on. Smart guys right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to catch up because, I'm working on it too, you know. Word. So that's what's up. So let's get a little bit of a background first. So, I want to start with you, brother, first. And then tell me a little bit about your journey as far as where you were born at and how you came to America and then going to Holland. Like, tell me your cultural experience between your Afar tradition and then coming to the Western world and how that went about.
Sure. So I was born in 1990. I am the year 10, which is normal back home. And my parents were, or when they had me, my mom was 45, and at that time she was diagnosed with kidney disease. And so after she had me, she gave me to her sister to raise, which also is a cultural thing within the Afar community, that your parents or your sisters would help you raise your kids. And so to my mom, it wasn't a big deal kind of giving her son to her sister to raise. And
Right.
I was born in a small city in northern Djibouti called Rwanda. And after there, my aunt took me to a smaller village called Lagalin, and I was with her until age 6. And life was simple. Wake up early in the morning and drink camel milk.
Camel milk. Yo, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but somebody told me that I have to try camel milk. At one point in my life, I'm going to have to drink camel milk if I really want to be a true East African. This is what I've been told.
I don't drink it, so does that make me not true?
No, you are definitely true. Somebody just told me that they're like, oh, my brother, you will be true East African if you drink camel milk. I'm like, I got to get camel milk.
Actually, within the Afar community, when you drink camel milk, you don't say you drink it. You say hannakta.
Hannata?
Yeah. So when you drink water, you say lia'ube, but hannaka, which is really interesting. But going back to the story. Come back home, eat breakfast, and then we'd let out the cows, goats, sheep, and camels, and really herd them throughout the day, help them find food, kind of guide them throughout the rural part of the country, and literally spend the rest of the day under a tree. And then when it's time for lunch, get back home and go back out again. And then lunch and take a nap because it's really hot.
Right.
You wake up, we do afternoon snack time, usually tambusas, bagia. I don't know if you've seen those or not.
Yeah, I actually love those.
Yeah, and then a good cup of strong chai.
Exactly, you have to have the chai.
Right, and then dinner is, we have this, it's called Afar. It's this like a tandoori oven underground. And we had with camel milk, and that's usually traditional dinner in rural homes.
Got you. Now, once you left Djibouti, you came to, you said Minnesota, is that correct?
Sure, yeah. So our country had a civil war between 1991 and 1994, and my family was involved in that. And through that, my brother was in exile in Ethiopia as a political refugee and applied for asylum in the U.S. And so we moved to the U.S. As refugees when I was about 7 years old.
Gotcha.
Moved to the great state of North Dakota in a city called
Right. Sorry, I had to laugh on that. I don't know why I had to laugh. It's like moving like to the good state of South Dakota or a good state of like Idaho. Word.
You go from 115-degree weather to negative 15.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting experience. I think reflecting back on it now, life was simple when I was younger, and coming to the U.S., everything was new, obviously, but I think I always just kind of felt that I was out of place,
Right.
and it's still, I think, to some extent, that still lingers. But yeah, I'm currently just I have half of my family in the U.S. and half back home, and we kind of do a good job of staying in contact, visiting. Yeah.
Got you, got you, got you. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I think that, at some extent, we all feel like outsiders in some aspect when you come from one African culture to another African Black culture around the world. So I would assume that if I went to Djibouti, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and I went to the Afar people, they might look at me and be like, well, I like you, but you got to prove yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I definitely understand how it would be to come here to America, especially with African Americans. And sometimes that's not easy. Of course, our culture is very like rah rah. You know what I'm saying? Like it's very, but yeah, that's so dope. So, yo, we're gonna let the beautiful queen speak now. You know what I'm saying? She looks so beautiful in the traditional Afar attire. So, yo, could you tell us about how your life, your younger life was, and growing up in the Western world?
Yeah. So I'm the youngest of four, the only one that was born in Toronto. So my mom is originally from Eritrea, and my dad's Ethiopian. They both, similar to Hassan, experienced civil war and fled for that reason. They wanted a better life for us. So their transition was Saudi Arabia, and then they came to Toronto after that. So basically, I learned my language from a young age because they came here not knowing any English at all, not knowing anything about what they were getting themselves into. So I learned Afar first, and I speak it fluently still, and then had to learn English in school. And it was interesting to be that middle person because I learned English with my parents,
Got you.
and then had to kind of be the translator between them and teachers and stuff like that, which is also interesting because I can filter what I want to tell them.
That's so dope. Well, I mean, the funny thing about it is that I actually have a filter too. My grandparents sometimes because of their education level. So filter level as far as like language is one thing, but also filter level as far as like educational level. My grandma only went to I think the 7th grade or something like that. So when it comes to the very very technical stuff, in like different language, she might need somebody to sort of kind of translate in a simpler aspect. So I definitely understand, even though it's not a different language, it's sort of kind of the same thing in a different world. So let me ask you this question. So it's time for me to make myself look like a bad guy or idiot, and let's learn a little bit about the Afar language. So I want you to teach me 3 things. So the first one I want you to teach me is how to say hi.
So with that, I think there is the influence of Islam, which I think is carries the day, which you obviously probably know already. But the Afar, for example, good morning is Mahise.
So ma ise?
Yeah. So literally, the translation is, "Are you alive this morning? Did you make it?"
Oh, really? Really?
And then
That's so dope.
and afternoon, good afternoon is Nagase.
So good
right
afternoon is negase?
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so we're gonna do good afternoon. So you said good afternoon is
Nagase.
negase?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm sort of kind of like 2 for 2 right now. I think I said it pretty high. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So if you put it, if I translate it for you, break it down, it'd be Nagai Ase.
so nagai.
Yeah.
I see.
So it's basically, have you stayed well?
That's so dope. That's so dope. Have you stayed well? It's almost like hold on. Have you stayed well instead of stay well, right? Correct? Is that correct? Sort of. I mean, it's like the opposite because some languages like it's the opposite when you say it from like English to a different language.
Like in the verb, yeah, that's usually like switched around. With Afar, I think that just kind of speaks to the like I said, Mahise, literally like there's that Islam influence of the idea that when you go to sleep, you don't know what the next day holds. You don't know if you're going to be alive or not. And so the idea is, are you alive this morning? And then, hey, how is your day going?
Right.
But yeah, another word, Hela, you wanna?
Yeah, because she's gonna do the third one. I love how you took over. You're like, I'm a strong Afar man. Like I'm just gonna take over. Yeah. The queen. She's over here like, yo, like what about me? You know what I'm saying?
I love his pronunciation is so on point. So I love
It
how he
is.
makes it.
And it's very similar. I'd have to research because I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure Afar is a Cushitic language, so it sounds very similar to Somali and other Cushitic languages or Afro-Asiatic languages. But yeah, for the third one, you can pick whatever you want to tell me, and I'll try to pronounce it and see how good I am.
I guess an easy one is like, how are you?
How are you? No, give me. I want something like this. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But I want something like, let's see, like. How was no? We did that one. I want to eat.
Uh, ma Akhmimfara.
Okay, this is gonna be hard to say one more time.
So I like the direct translation is Akhmimfara.
Akmin Farah.
You
Yo,
said
I'm
like the
good.
last
Come
part.
on, man.
So it's like ugh.
Yo, they're hating on me. They
Like
don't.
scuffing, like ugh. So ugh. Akhmimfara.
Oh, that again. That again. I've been told this so many times. I speak English, so I don't have that ha. Like I'm trying to get that ha. So say it one more time. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So just go like Akhmim first.
Akmin
Fara.
Farah. Akmin Farah.
Yeah. There you go.
Akmin Farah. Akmin Farah. Akmin Farah. Yo, I'm getting good at it, guys. Come
You're
on,
gonna make it into a
yeah.
track.
Yeah, I'm about to make it into the hip hop song. Yeah, you guys want to be on my first Far hip hop song?
Yeah, why
Let's get
not?
it.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Word. Now let me, sister, let me start you out with this next question. What is the largest population, or let's say, what are the top 3 largest populations for Afar people in the world?
So we were talking about this to
Yes.
narrow it down.
Yes.
But me and Hassan both agree that the largest population would be in Europe, but specifically Brussels in Belgium.
Like Brussels sprouts in Brussels. Word.
The capital, Brussels, yeah.
Word.
And then also, if we were going to do number 2, it would still be in Europe, but Sweden.
Okay.
And then the third one we were kind of like debating because there's a huge population in Minnesota, there's a huge population in Ottawa.
True.
Maybe not one of each from Canada and the U.S.
Got you. Well, those 3 populations, which population do you think is the most well known in the world, right? Because you could be the biggest population in some part of the world as an ethnic group, but some other people, I don't even know if this is even making sense what I'm trying to say, but basically, like a lot of people, I feel like they know Somalis from Minnesota, like all over the world. Like if you ask anybody, like, oh, I have family in Minnesota. So do you think that biggest population in Brussels is like the mecca for Afar people outside of Ethiopia, Djibouti, or Eritrea?
For me personally, I would say no, only because I newly learned about the community.
See what I'm saying?
So for someone who's like actively trying to get to know my culture more and like learn more, you hear more about Sweden because they have a lot of NGOs from there. They have a lot that they do as a community there on a larger scale.
Gotcha.
So for me, I would have said Sweden.
Sweden, yeah, I thought I would have said Sweden as well too. Yo, my brother, would you have said Sweden?
I disagree.
This is why I said for me. I knew it.
Right.
I think it's first. I should say that the Afar people are kind of late to the migration out of the Afar territory. We like staying in our own country. We like staying in our own territory.
Gotcha.
You look at our neighbors, the Somali community have been their community maybe is like 30, 40 years old, whereas the Afar probably like 20 years old.
Gotcha.
And so the largest population is in Belgium. I think it's normal for any community, if they find jobs or if they find a community already there, they tend to gravitate towards it.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, but Belgium does actually. There's over 1,000 Afar people in Belgium.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So for me, it's half family all over Europe. So I've also been here since last July, so I've been able to kind of crisscross the continent and so. But
wow.
Yeah, Belgium.
Okay, cool. You guys are telling me like a lot of things that I really didn't know about Afar people because like I'm be real with you guys right now, 100%, 1,000, right? When I watch a lot of like Ethiopian music videos, the first time that I found out about the Afar, which was like maybe I would say like 12 years ago, maybe when I was like I don't know, like in my teens, like basically well, the first thing I saw was a far Ethiopian music video, and I just seen like a far guy with an AK-47, and then I seen and then I seen a far woman with a big knife, looking just like the queen right here, and then they were like singing to each other, but it was about love, but it was about war, and I thought it was the most beautiful thing I ever heard in my life because I was like, yo, like these people are singing about how much they love their territory and their people, but they're also singing about love at the same time. And I'm like, wow, like if I could find a woman that would go to war with me like that's life right there. You know what I'm saying? Like that's life. It was so beautiful. So I think that the Afar culture is a really, really, really amazing thing, and I've always been a big advocate for Afar people. Even though you guys might not have known that, I secretly watch Afar things all the time. You know. I do. I love Afar people. I've said it in other videos too. I love Afar people. I really do.
We love you too.
Yo, I love you. Yo, I love you too, brother. Yo, I love you too, Queen. Yo, you guys gotta adopt me. Yo. So let me ask you this, Queen. Let me ask you a question. So back home, what does like a day in the life of a Afar person look like amongst the community? So of course we know that there's Afar people that live in the big cities, but there's also Afar people that still live more traditionally out in maybe the rural areas. Is that correct?
To be honest with you, Hassan actually has more experience in the rural communities and rural areas. For me,
Okay.
back home, my family lives in more of the city environment. So
Okay, so how about we have you talk about more of the city Afar lifestyle, maybe, or even as similar or as different as it is, and then we'll go to Brother Hassan.
yeah, honestly, I don't think for the city lifestyle, it's not even specific to Afro culture, but it's more of like a community thing, like overall country dynamic. So,
Gotcha.
example, like some of my family lives in Djibouti. So when I go visit them in Djibouti, the country itself is an Islamic dominant country. So their weekend, for example, is a Friday, Saturday, as opposed to Sunday. Sunday's not a weekend over there.
Ah, I never knew that.
Or because it's a Muslim country, you hear the call to prayer 5 times a day, and all the businesses shut down during that time, so everyone gets a chance to pray.
Ah, well, yeah, I did know that.
So it's a community dynamic type thing.
Got you, got you, got you.
Refreshing and different for me.
Yeah, which is really dope. And do you think that and if you don't know this question, well, of course, maybe you probably should, but is there a very like prideful community when it comes to Djibouti, Eritrea, and Ethiopia? Now, of course, we know there is, out in the traditional areas, but when it comes to the city, because quick example, when I was in Miami, I saw a whole group of Haitians, and they literally were downtown, and they had like a minivan, and they opened the minivan up, and they put Haitian music on. There was like 30 of them in a parking lot, just dancing in a circle and having such a good time. And I was like, wow, those are Haitian people in Miami. So would Afar people ever maybe be in Djibouti or Ethiopia in the city and just say like, hey, let's come together out in the street somewhere and just start dancing and having a good time, like a Afar time? I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking.
So in Djibouti, the mode of transportation are these vans or calls. They're called Arriba Bis. Bis
Gotcha.
is French word for bus, and Arriba is a city, is a neighborhood in the capital of Djibouti. And it's a mode of transportation that everyone takes. It's literally 40 francs. It's really, really cheap. And
That is cheap.
cars are like decked out.
Word.
Gear and decorations, and they have like these Afar names on them or French names on them, and that's where you usually see like the music and a lot of that. But in terms of like celebrating culture openly, it's kind of one of those things where there's like a time and place for it.
Right.
But yeah, usually Independence Day, Thursdays are like wedding days across the whole country.
Yeah. Oh man, don't get me started about this. I'd be so jealous of how many weddings people go to. They're like, I'm going to another wedding. I'm like, I've never been to this many weddings in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I wish.
They're quite the affair.
Word. So you said on Thursdays it's like wedding days. So let me ask you this question. Well, actually, let me save that. Before I go to that, the wedding question I have for you, let me ask you this question. So since she told us more so about the city life of the Afar people, could you tell me more about the like rural or like in the countryside for Afar people and how like the daily life might be?
Sure. I think looking back to the time that I used to live there, which was in the early 90s, in some ways a lot has changed. In some ways, a lot of things have not. For example, a typical day in a rural Afar town would be, we have these traditional huts called boita.
Hmm.
I think you might have seen those.
I love those.
And those are usually put up during winter months because they keep the heat in. There's a fireplace and everything. And then obviously in the summer months, we take all the beds outside and really sleep under the stars.
Right.
But anyways, a traditional day for, if we divide it up by sexes, men are usually the ones who take up the camels early in the morning, like after we drink milk, to go and literally find food for them, right?
Gotcha. Right.
And then, the woman would be the one who early in the morning, after kids eat breakfast and everything, would go and collect wood and then go and collect water, right?
Ah.
So we have these traditional water containers. They're made out of goat skin.
Gotcha.
They're called sar.
Yeah, I know Sod. I know Sod. I'm sorry, I'm in the cut you, but yeah, I know of these things. Yes.
Awesome, glad to hear that.
Right.
So in some ways, I guess that has changed is our great Western brothers thought maybe instead of carrying these traditional things, we should carry plastic containers on our back,
Right.
which has not been good to our sisters and mothers back home because we traditionally carry it on our backs as well. We used to carry the star on our backs.
Yep.
And now they're carrying that same container on their back, and it's causing back problems for a lot of women in rural. And since those containers stay out on the sun all day, you know, they break easily.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, getting water is still an issue. Walking long distance for that is still an issue. I think the government tried, in some areas have succeeded, in some areas haven't. They've built these wells,
Right.
wells that collect rainwater. But yeah, traditionally, you know, you get firewood, get water, lunch, and then the afternoon tea, coffee. Right now, there's been a big push within the rural population for importance of education. Right.
Right.
It's literally early September. You can see hordes of families like walking their kids to like the next biggest city to get them ready for school or to send them off to school.
Gotcha.
That's a new improvement that I love seeing. The challenge is, you know, how do we bring schools to them, or how do we make access to that education easy?
Right.
But yeah, traditional life is hard on the Ethiopian side because it's so hot. Literally, it's probably the hottest.
Yeah. Yeah, because they have the oh, I'm sorry, they have I didn't mean to cut you off, brother, but they have if I'm correct, they have the Afar region, and in the Afar region they have the acid fields, like the Afar acid fields, I think it is. Yeah, and there was actually a debate about that because there was a lot of companies that were actually trying to go there and like exploit the, you know, natural resources from the acid fields, you know, whether it be the acid or whether it be the different kind of like elements or whatever that were in there. And it literally looks like it's on a different planet. Like I remember one time I showed one of my friends, I was like, yo, this is the acid, like a far region fields in Ethiopia. And he was like, that looks like it's on Mars or something because there's like pink and yellow and different colors from the sulfur, you know?
Yeah, they're saying that part of the world is like the next big energy boom in terms of geothermal energy.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. Oh.
Sorry, I was just going to add, on the other side of the acid field you were just talking about is a volcano.
Yeah, there's definitely a volcano. And the crazy thing about it is that I think that they said the rain percentage there is like less than 5%. I could be wrong about something like that. But basically, it doesn't rain a lot. And also, like brother was saying, is that that's going to be a very, very big energy area, because I mean, think about the solar panel like potential there. I mean, look how much the sun shines all year round. It's crazy. It's crazy. And then a lot of Afar people, and I think a couple maybe other ethnic groups, they go there and they mine salt, and they dig up big salt pieces, and then they go trade it for like other things like goods or food, or sell it. But I don't know if they're getting the proper value that they deserve compared to the big companies that are taking it to the rest of the world.
There's definitely structural issues in terms of the Afar people benefiting from natural resources within the Afar territories.
Right.
For example, Lake Assal, the Salt Lake, is the world's largest reserve of salt mines, I guess is what you would call it.
Yeah. Or well, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But in terms of its function and other people benefiting from it, I think a lot of the governments have kept colonial laws and structures in place, and so it's harder for the local indigenous population to tap into that resource in terms of making a living from it.
Right. I definitely agree. Now, let me ask you guys about something. I'll ask the sister first, and then I'll ask you, brother. Let me ask you about Afar traditions that people might not know so much about, and they can be anything. Of course, you're like a walking representation of Afar women, which is a beautiful thing, Word.
So just your question is general traditions?
Oh yeah, or traditions maybe that people might not know. Well, yeah, we can do general traditions.
Okay, so for the woman's side, I can start with kind of like a rites of passage, so to say, like when she's stepping into womanhood.
Got you.
The nose piercing.
Yes, and I have to stop you right here.
Pardon?
And I said I have to stop you right here. Sorry, I know I'm so unorthodox sometimes with interviews, but I have to stop you right here because I love, me and you talked about this, and I love the nose ring. Like, I think it's so beautiful. And you also told me though that in certain countries or maybe certain areas that it's optional to have the nose ring connecting to your ear. I forget exactly what the piece was that you told me that was called.
Yeah, no, you mean it's the nose ring that connects to an earring type
Yes.
jewelry. I don't think that's specific to Afro culture, but as things evolve with fashion and everything, I think that became more of a fashionable piece.
Gotcha.
And on that same note, like gold, traditionally gold was not directly connected to a part of our Afro culture. It was like the same kind of jewelry that you see that I'm wearing or necklaces was all done through beading or like metalwork, like that they would do with their hands.
Wow.
They started trading more with neighboring countries. Gold was what they gravitated to, and it became. Like,
I never knew. I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut you off, but I never knew that. I always thought that gold was just like from like forever and ever and a day ago. I mean, like from thousands of years ago. Like, I never knew that it was originally beads and it changed. You taught me something right there.
Yeah, that's how, even like if you did like a quick Google search and then if you scroll past the gold, you'll see that it's like beaded work and more like just mixed metals, things like that.
Got you. Now, could you maybe, and I don't know, but are there names for the individual things you're wearing? So, like your headpiece, is there a name for that? And then obviously the scarf that you have on, and then the dress that you have on, and maybe the beads around your neck.
There probably is.
Right, but
Still in the process of learning.
Right.
But what I do know is that, okay, I'm gonna switch hands for a sec. So
Of course.
I'm wearing what we just call a dire, and it's customary amongst many East African cultures. But then what you wear around your dire is something like this.
Oh, okay.
It's called tikia saro.
Okay.
And you would wrap it around kind of like a skirt over the dire.
Okay.
This I just call a shalmat that I'm wearing over my head. But
Shalmat,
the name of it?
Hassan, Brother Hassan.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, she said, do you know the name of the scarf that she's wearing?
Oh boy.
Right.
I don't wear that, so
It's like asking a man about like a woman's clothing. Like, yo, do you know about this?
My Afro culture encyclopedia.
Of course, right? Yeah, he is. He's mine too. So now, yo, pressure's on you.
No, I think like even like walking through each piece, I think, to be honest with you, a video in itself.
Yeah, of course.
And traditionally, as she was saying, in some ways, just like in most parts of the world, there's a difference between rural parts and parts that coastal cities.
Of course.
Like right now, you see a lot of like the beads and the silver, on the Ethiopian side and the Eritrean side, and then you see a lot of the gold stuff, like the covering of the actual face.
Yeah, I love that.
On the Djibouti side, and there's definitely like a mixture of both, and but to be honest with you, like in terms of the explanations of each piece, I
Don't know. It's okay.
So
It's okay. Maybe I was.
I was gonna say, if you want, I can send you different pictures of what we're talking about, so you can get a visual of what it looks like. And what he described, like there's different ones like this that do cover your face and all. But the one thing that I want to point out that's different, so you can always wear ones like this that cover your face. But one thing that's different is if you're a bride, there's a specific headpiece that you have to wear as a bride, and it kind of is, I can send you a picture of that as well. But it's like a circular piece that goes around both the sides of your face, and you might have seen pictures of it already, because other cultures have been influenced by that piece as well, especially in Eritrea with smaller ethnic, like a smaller.
But I'm taken.
Yeah, no, definitely, because I actually saw them where like on the sides where I think it's like right here you can see more, and then as it goes down the sides it gets longer and longer and longer. I want to say, yeah,
That's what I'm talking about. So that's normally what you would wear as a woman who is married or getting married, or it's specific to that.
got you. Okay, well, maybe brother, do you want to add on to maybe something like in the culture that maybe a lot of people don't know about? Maybe if there is anything. If not, I definitely understand.
For sure, no. There's a couple things. There's this concept called firma,
Got you.
and it's type of a social contract between there's a women's one and a men's one, and it's literally people who are the same age. Or they say what makes a firma is people who are a day apart, a month apart, or a year apart. Right. So this is like your group of people your age who you're supposed to identify with, who are supposed to take care of each other, who you could count on. These are the same guys who would be your best man, or show up to a wedding, or would fight for you. These are also a group of guys when the community is attacked, especially in rural parts. These are the guys who would all get ready together and all go out at the same time. Within this group, there's a guy who was supposed to like be vigilant and call out, "Hey, there's an attack coming!" And so all the firma would get together and go. And with this, there are rules that govern how each member should contribute to the group, how the group should function. Within that, there's also forms of punishment. For example, like let's say there was an attack, and we call this attack out, and we're all going, and one of the guys stays home for some reason. We could call him out on that, and he has to prove to us that there's a legitimate reason why he wasn't there. If not, we as a group can punish him.
Got you. That's actually really interesting. So it's just basically like the dynamics of like social. I don't want to say social status, but social groups, or maybe just groups in general. I would say something like that.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I don't want to call it a fraternity because it's definitely not near that. The idea of brotherhood is definitely strong within that, and it manifests itself in different ways in different communities, in different villages. It's ones in the city are different than ones in rural parts, and the women also have a similar one.
Got you.
But yeah, there's a lot of rules that govern that. Another thing is Bilu. Bilu is a concept in our community that guide. It's basically like a judicial system, you could say. There are rules that each clan. It's the same within the whole Afar tribe, but individually, each tribe has a leader who would be the guy to go to if someone in that clan did something to you. He would be the one who you would make the complaint to. But within Bilu itself, literally, there is rules for the smallest infraction that a person can do.
Okay.
And I wish I could dig deep into it, but it's like it's a whole thing. But that's really an interesting thing. I think you see a lot of it in maybe in modern times that manifests itself in different ways. But we traditionally right now, if there's a dispute in the family or within our family or our neighbors, we do that. Like if
Right.
you know, there's still that idea of an eye for an eye,
Right.
you know? But it's actually like people from the two clans or whatever, they sit down, discuss what happened, how it happened. Literally, if this guy lost a piece of his finger, that is worth a certain amount.
Oh, wow. I didn't do that.
That's in money or in livestock. So that is still practiced. It's a little bit more modern than it used to be. But that would be one. You talked earlier about how, you know, Afar people sing about battles and love at the same
Yeah,
time.
I love that. I love that. I know it's bad, but I love that so much. Like, I really do.
So there's this type of songs and dance called Sada.
Santa? Okay.
Yeah, and if we were to do this, the guys would be lined up on one side and the girls would be on the other side, and we literally like it's a duet. So we
Oh, right.
out, and then as we're calling out the girls, we like jump and get close to them, and then we pull back, and then they chase us. And then ultimately, when you end it, a guy and a girl at the end really come together. They look at each other. They do this, and then they walk side by side and just walk through the group to show that all things are well.
Picture like a Soul Train line.
Yeah, it's a Soul Train line. Yo, it's a Soul Train line. Yo, it's a Soul Train line in the Afar culture. That's really I'm glad you said it because I always equate everything to Soul Train line. I'm like, oh, it's a Soul Train line, like but for Afar people.
Yeah. One other thing I will add is there's this type of music that we have for weddings.
Mhm.
It's called Garota, and it's a way to literally when my brother got married, they had like 12 albums of songs that were written just for him.
Hold on, they had 12 albums, so they like sang like all these like
Literally,
songs.
so for example, if you were getting married,
Yeah.
there would be a song just for you and for your accomplishments. There would be a song for
But
your
like that's
father.
a tradition in itself. So if you were getting married, depending on what country you lived in, they would call a group of singers, like known Afar singers, and then it's a whole like sit down thing within your household.
Ah,
So they literally write and record.
The songwriter comes
It
to
could
the
be like
house.
a week-long thing, depending on how much time you have, but it's an actual tradition in itself.
oh, okay. Yeah, that's actually good to know. So when am I going to get my song, guys? When am I? Yo, when am I getting my song?
And then
I want-
that's the next step.
Yeah, I want my song, guys. I'm telling you this right now, yo. And matter of fact, I want both of you guys to make it up and sing it for me.
Do you want to sing
But no, the importance of that is it's an oral tradition. It's a way to keep the stories of you and your family alive.
Of course.
And you know, there's one for your mom's side of the family, your father's side of the family, and your brother, in your siblings.
Gotcha.
But I would say that's one that's still something that's very prevalent, and that it's something that really tells the story of who you are and who your clan is.
Right.
Yeah, those are some of the traditions that they might not know.
Oh,
Okay.
one other one that reminded me of what you talked about earlier. I think it was your Haitian example when they were partying in the streets.
Oh yeah,
So it's
yeah.
equivalent for us doing that because Afar people are traditionally conservative. We call it a ka'i, and it's when
Ka'i?
anytime, no matter where you are, if there's a group of Afar people and someone who's a potential musician of some kind, they would pull out whatever guitar or whatever instrument they have or anything, and you basically chant all the popular songs yourselves. That we
Oh,
did
really?
As a group, yeah. So me and Hassan were part of one last time we were together.
That's so dope. I mean, yeah, and that's sort of kind of what I meant by the example of like the, you know, when I said the Haitian people that just like were outside. I thought it was so dope because like I would say for us it would be like a barbecue or anywhere at any time. You know, we always singing somewhere like doing something. but mostly like a barbecue. I guess it would be sort of kind of like that in same aspect as you guys are the Haitian people. You know.
Oh yeah, there's
Totally, like group
Brother Hassan, you want to say something? I thought you.
no, I was just tagging on to what she said about Kat.
Yeah, group karaoke. Yeah, a far group.
Yeah.
There's a joke that there's not a single person in our community who can't sing. We all sing. And the cool thing about this is honestly, it just takes one person with a guitar to start a song, and it literally becomes a song that everyone knows. And more people keep coming, keep coming, keep coming in. It's just like, and then we do this thing where next song, and then someone would start the chorus, and then it would just go on. There's actually a couple of songs that have her name in it, Hela. And so,
Oh, really?
yeah, it's definitely, it's a great experience. It's a good way to kind of build community, to build brotherhood, and it's usually something that we do on a Friday night or a Saturday night because we don't drink and smoke.
Of course, of course, of course,
And my
of
favorite
course.
part about
No,
it
that's-
is that whoever in the audience, like say example, the three of us, and we're all chanting the same song. If you were feeling the vibe of a certain song that we should sing next, you could just change it up and start singing it, and then everyone will jump in.
Ah, got you. That's so dope. Now, let me ask you this question. I mean, I've actually learned so much. There's a lot of things I really didn't know. And I think actually, hold on a second. I think Brother Hassan, okay, he's back. Yo, you was froze for a second. I was just looking at him and it's like, where did he go? I know that smile. That's a nice smile he's got, but yo, that smile shouldn't be on there for like 20 seconds. You know what I'm saying? But let me ask you guys this question. So I'm going to start out with Brother Hassan, and then I'm going to start out with the Queen, of course. And then after that, I think I have one more question after that. And I really appreciate you guys for giving me your time. I know that we're all on short schedules. But my last question is, Brother Hassan, is like, what do you love about being Afar? Like, what is something that makes you very prideful? And you know, I think we all have that, regardless of what Afro-ethnic group we have. So, you know, I would say for African Americans, it would be barbecues and things of that nature, right? Hip hop and stuff like that. I would say for Jamaican people, it might be reggae on the side of the beach, or, you know, like certain things that they're, you know, used to traditionally eating or doing in Jamaica. Somali people, whatever they love, Basto and Brisk, singing, you know what I'm saying? You know how that goes. So what do you love about being Afar, and why do you love being Afar?
Sure. First of all, I love that you call me brother. That's something that we do in our culture.
Of course.
But for me, there's this thing called Afarino. It's the idea that we're one people.
Of course.
It's something that every single Afar person knows and takes part in. And for me, being Afar, or what I'm proud of the most, I'd say is just our culture. I think there's nothing like it. Whether it's the dressing, the type of food that we eat, the way we care for each other. I think hospitality is an important thing in the Afar community, not only to your family, your community, but to outsiders. We are a community that's open, that's inviting, and I can go to any village in Ethiopia, or Eritrea, in Djibouti, and I will be welcomed as a family member of that community. I remember in 2012 when I went back for the first time. We passed like 12 villages to get to my aunt's, and everyone would see us on the road and like stop us and invite us in and make tea for us and have us eat breakfast. And then literally we walk like for 2 minutes, there's another village, and they're like, come on in. And you literally, it's like being invited by everyone. And they're like, there's this idea or this thing that we do in rural parts. It's like everyone as a parting gift gives you a little goat or a little sheep.
Hold on, do you really get a little goat or a little sheep? What? Where am I living at? Where am I living at? Yeah, where am I? I want a little goat, little sheep.
It's like what we don't know, especially these days. There isn't much to offer, but people still give you that. I mean, livestock are dying in parts of the region, but that's still something that the culture or the community has kept to, is that this idea is that you could start another community of animals to help you, or to, you know, to add to your collection.
Okay.
I remember my nephew got one. He was born in the U.S. and he went back, and traditionally, like, you know, like they cook that for you.
Yeah. For me, like I would always love it. I'm in nurture, but I would like always like if somebody gave me like a goat or a sheep. You know how in love I would be with that goat or that sheep. I'd be like, this is my sheep, like my little baby sheep. Like that's such a beautiful thing to like. I know, but to me, I'm vegan too, so I wouldn't think about eating it. Maybe at one point, I don't know. Even when I ate meat, I don't think that I would think about eating it. But I think I would just be like, "This is my little sheep." Like I would just keep it, like.
So, yeah, I guess for all the problems that we may have as a people, as a community, I know that I can always count on people in my community to be there for me, and I think that's the thing that I appreciate the most. Right now, I'm in Europe. I jump from country to country, and there's a family that I've never seen before inviting me into their house, and
That's so dope.
That's just because we're Afar and we're one people.
Of course. Words. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it. Now, yo, you're going to the #1 Afar queen, yo. Let me ask you a question. What do you? You're the #1 Afar queen in the world right now. It's funny because I always give these labels to people, and they're like, "I'm not the #1," but you know what? I said you're the #1 Afar queen, so you are. So, yo, let me ask you this question. What do you love about being Afar? And yeah, I mean, I guess yeah. What do you love about being Afar, and what's some things that you partake in as a Afar person that makes you feel very like warm and prideful inside? Because we all have that feeling, when we're doing things that we're familiar with.
Right. Honestly, I am trying so hard not to steal Hassan's answer because that's what I was going to say.
Right.
But so kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, like last year was the first time I went to the Afro communities in Europe, and I explored different communities there, and it was a new level of feeling welcomed. Like I was so nervous because first of all I was traveling solo for the most part. But I was, no matter where I went, I was welcomed as if I was a long lost sibling of someone's, or like the daughter they wish they had, or like, it was just so warm and so like I already belonged.
That's so dope.
That feeling was amazing in itself. And then to also feel, so like here in Toronto specifically, people always want to know where you're from because it's so multicultural, right? They always want to know where you're from. But then even in the East African community, they always narrow down asking like, okay, but from what territory or from what region? But so it was refreshing that I was amongst Afro people and no one cared about what country, because our culture is so, like you're from Ethiopia, to Djibouti, our culture is the same, our language is the same, our traditions and values are all like intertwined, you know what I mean? It's the same. So no one cared to ask, oh, so what country are you from? You know what I mean? So it was nice to just feel I belonged regardless of what border was between us.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. And I always tell people, me personally, just from studying history, and I think most people should see it like this. I think there's a big, we talked about this earlier, there's a big push for nationality. And I think that nationality is a good thing in some aspects, but there's pros and cons to everything. And I think that we should be able to have nationality, but we should be able to be proud of our ethnic groups and our tribes at the same time. And how can we come together to have both of those? Because some people, they're like, hey, I'm from here, this country. And I'm like, I'm asking you what your ethnic group is. I'm not asking, you know what I'm saying? I think it's a little different in America. So like, if somebody, asks, what's my ethnic group, they can sort of kind of almost clearly just be like, oh, okay, like you're a Black person from America. Like there's only one group of them, or at least we ball up all African people into that one group. But when you come from a country where there's different traditions between different people that are all African people, I think that's when it becomes a little confusing for some people. So I agree with you. I'm always about the people more than the country, because the countries change, in 1,000 years, who knows, it might not be Ethiopia, there might not be Eritrea, there might not be Djibouti, it might be the Confederation of East Africa, right? And it'd be like 30 countries, you never know. And just like in the past, these borders didn't exist as well. So we have to understand that it's always about the people. It's always about the people, regardless of borders change, continents change, right? We move places, but you're always going to carry your traditions with you. So I agree. So guys, to the #1 Afar queen and to the #1 Afar brother, I really appreciate you guys for taking your time out today to, have a conversation and talk with me and talk with all of us. And any last words before we leave?
Actually, yeah. So, connected to your last question was something that makes us feel warm, I think you said.
Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry. I cut it off. Come on, man. I can't do it.
It intertwines with the last thing that I would have said anyways. But so Hassan and I are both a part of an organization called the Afar Youth Association, which is where we like strengthened our friendship too and like got to know each other better. But so that's a platform that both of us are a part of. Hassan's actually the vice president, if you want to talk a bit about it.
Okay, yeah, definitely. If you could tell me a little bit about it, and also if you guys could send me the link, so maybe I can put it, as well.
Yeah, I think maybe this is something that I think a lot of communities can speak to. For us, me as someone who was born back home but is living, in the Western world, and for Hela, someone who's born here and who's connecting with the culture. For us, the global Afar community is small, and within that, the youth community, and I came to a conference in 2012 called Afar Forum that's been happening since 1991, and that was the first time I saw Africans my age. Literally on the flight, I was looking at the airport like to see who it is and who I can find. I didn't get that in the U.S., and a lot of the kids were like 5 to 10 years younger than me, or 5 to 10 years older than me. We talked about the idea of firma, your age.
Of course.
I was lacking that in the States. We, at this conference, we were talking about some issues that our community was facing, and we saw that there was a lack of youth engagement in that. And so we took out a sheet and started writing down each other's information. And from there on, we made the goal of the organization to kind of network, to get to know each other. There's this idea in our culture that if I stand up for you today, that you will stand up for me tomorrow.
Of course.
And so we figured if we see each other as family and as firma instead of youth in the same organization, that we're more likely to make a trip to Toronto to see them, or she would come to Holland to see me, right?
Of course.
And so our organization in the last 5 years, we've connected the Afar Youth Diaspora through Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram Live. We actually created this Snapchat where we have a new youth host for a day. And
oh, wow.
It's amazing the amount of people that connected through that. Literally, there's over we went from like 5 to 300 Afar youth across the diaspora in New Zealand, Australia, and China. And for us, that was inspiring to see that the Afar youth diaspora is huge, and it's everywhere, and that we can all learn from each other and bring something new to the solutions for the issues that our community is facing.
Of course, I definitely agree.
Yeah, and so right now we've done that. We've connected. We have a couple hundreds of members, and we're active. And right now we are putting together a conference this summer because we think the greatest need in our community is ethical leadership and entrepreneurship. And so we're having a conference that's geared towards creating and developing and engaging leaders who will hopefully deal with the issues that our community is facing. But yeah, it's happening this summer, and we're in the process of fundraising for it, and we're hoping to make it big, to make it active, to make it engaging. I think it's one way to unite the community and to kind of bring us back to our roots of being a single people. And so yeah.
I definitely agree, and count me in. You know what I'm saying? I want to be part of the organization as well. I think that would be dope to join it and try to contribute what I can, little that I can, for now. But yeah, I definitely agree, guys. So thank you guys so much. I really, really, really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate all the stuff that you guys taught me, and then obviously telling me about some stuff that I already knew, but just making it more concrete for me. And I really appreciate it. And guys, the #1 Afar man and the #1 Afar queen. I really appreciate your time. And guys, until next time, peace. One love.
What's up?
Hey.
Shalom.
What up?
Hi. We bye.
بدي كنا بحلم نابكرة عتبادو